So, my name is Philip, and I have been working with extruded feed for the last 10 years. Started in 2014, and I had the privilege of helping many plants. I have worked in 13 countries and saw all sorts of plants. I saw great new factories, but I also saw and also helped very old, very manual feed mills. And there is one thing that they all have in common, which is they all struggle to have well-trained operators. Some plants struggles more, some plants struggle less, but at the end of the day, this is something that we always struggle to find good people to train them well. Because if we train them well, they will make less mistakes and we will produce more, we will produce better, we will solve our problems faster. Well, I started my career in 2014 working in a feed factory in Brazil, producing pet food, producing aqua feed. Was a very old factory with a lot of manual work, great operators, but a lot of mistakes, a lot of headaches. Every day was a different headache. And after 2 years, I was invited to move and I went to Norway, where it was a completely different world. Everything was automated, very few operators. Operator would just click the button and the extruder would start producing very high quality feed. It was kind of a dream. It didn't seem that they had a lot of problems. And from there, I saw many planes. I saw planes in Europe, I saw planes in Asia, I saw planes in North America, Africa, Australia, South America, everywhere. And everywhere they had problems with training operators. People from factories, they work a lot, they work very hard. And that's why I created this course to help them to improve, to help them to achieve better results. And I know it's hard to train people. I know it's hard to stop operation. We never have the time and we don't have a lot of courses out there. This course we need to send them away. And then you have a lot of costs involved. You have flight tickets, you have hotels. It is very expensive. So the ones that go there are managers, are engineers, are not the ones that operates the extruder. And that's why I created this course to help these people, to give the knowledge to those people. Courses at the factory are usually held by manufacturers. And I'm not saying they are not good, but I'm saying the focus is different. The manufacturer, they wanna always sell more equipment. That's their objective at the end of the day. So when this course comes, they also comes with a lot of marketing around it. And this is not what we want. Focus of this course is give straightforward information, very focused on how the operator can improve, what they need to do, giving good examples and bad examples. So it doesn't matter the size of your factory. I know this course is going to be beneficial to you. Just imagine that if they watch this course and they avoid one mistake, how much one mistake would cost you, how much stress, how much money. It is very expensive to stop an extrusion line. That's why the payback of this course is so fast, because the price of this course is much lower than the price of one mistake in your extrusion line. And we will talk about a lot of things. We will talk from receiving raw materials to the packing line and everything in between. We will talk about dosing, we will talk about grinding, we will talk about extrusion and a lot about extrusion. We will talk about drying and how to increase your moisture, how to make more money, use less energy, how to code properly, everything. Troubleshooting, I will tackle the most common problems and how to solve them. And sometimes even basic information can make a lot of difference. Like in your extrusion process, you have material that's coming from the conditioner, and this material that comes from the conditioner needs to be hot between 95 to 98, 99 degrees. And how you measure that? You have a temperature sensor at the conditioner outlet. This temperature sensor needs to be measuring only the mesh, not the steam. That's already a mistake that manufacturers make. Either they have very low temperatures, or sometimes the temperature sensor is dirty. Sometimes the temperature sensor is not correctly placed inside the conditioner and then it's measuring steam instead of measuring the temperature of your mesh. And then you already can make some improvements. Instead of adding cold water can start adding hot water. Why that? Because when you add hot water, you use less energy to start heating up your mesh. And by adding hot water, you start cooking your mesh from the very beginning of your conditioning process. So the effect is making your conditioning process more efficient. Is like prolonging the length of your conditioning. Because at the beginning of your conditioning, all you're doing is injecting water, you're hydrating, and you're not cooking. But if you're adding hot water, you'll be starting cooking from the very beginning of your conditioner, and that's what we want. And what will be the effect? The effect will be when your mesh falls from the conditioner into your extruder, that mesh is already hot, it's very hot, is well cooked, is very well mixed, you don't have lumps. In the effect, you're going to reduce the motor load of your extruder. And because you're reducing the motor load of your extruder, then you can produce more, you can produce at a higher capacity. When material comes into the extruder, and what happens to the material when it falls into the extruder. The extruder, you have the screw in the barrel, and the screw will push the material forward towards the die, and it will do that. And as you do that, it will create two things. It will heat up the mesh because of the friction. You have the screw very close to the barrel, and because the screws are close to the barrel, you have a minimal gap there, and this minimal gap will create restriction. And what we need to learn, and if you learn something in this class, this is one of the things that I want you to learn, is everything that disrupts the flow, everything that creates difficulty for the dough to move forward will create more pressure and make our product to expand more. So keep that in mind. Everything that disrupts the flow, everything that adds energy to the process will make your product to expand more. So there are two ways of adding energy: mechanical energy and thermal energy. Mechanical energy comes from friction between the screw and the barrel. Thermal energy comes from adding more steam, hot water. That's thermal energy, right? What makes us to increase mechanical energy? Turn this screw speed faster. If the screw is turning up faster, it will heat up, it will create more friction, and will consequently make your product expand more. If your product expands more, it will have reduced bulk density. If the screw configuration is more aggressive, you have more reverse screws, you have cut flight screws, you have very big shear locks and lows. What does that make? That creates more friction, and if it creates more friction, it will make your product expand more. You go to the die, your die is the same thing. If you have a die with a very large open area, if you have a die with many holes, it will be easier for the material to leave the extruder. And if it's easier for the material to leave the extruder, you reduce the restriction. And if you reduce the restriction, you reduce the expansion. You see, everything is correlated. Steam. If you add more steam, your product will heat up more and it will expand more, right? So all these parameters you need to keep in mind when you fine tune your extruder. You need to pay attention at steam pressure. If you're adding steam at between 6 to 8 bars, that's what we want. Because if it's lower than that, the pressure that you have inside the extruder will be greater than the pressure from your steam line, meaning that steam cannot go inside the extruder. If steam increases or decreases the pressure, it also increases or decreases the amount and temperature of steam that you're adding. So if the steam that comes from boilers start varying, the amount of steam that you're adding will also vary. And if the amount of steam is varying, the expansion that is causing your product also will vary, and therefore the quality of your product will be different, and you don't want that. No one wants that, because if the quality of a product is different, then you start having quality issues. You want your quality stable. You want your first bag of product be exactly the same as your last bag of product, right? How do I guarantee that? I guarantee that by measuring bulk density. One thing that you need to do every 10 to 15 minutes is measure bulk density. It's a very simple test. You just need to grab a cup, 1 liter cup, get a sample, and put this cup on top of a scale, right? We have another class in one of the extrusion modules where I teach you how to do that, more details. But you need to perform this test because that test will tell you how much your product is expanding. Density is correlated to expansion. Therefore, you need to maintain your density stable. You need to have a density target. And why density is important? Because density will tell you how much your product is tainted. It will tell you if your product is cooked or not. And will also tell you if your product can fit inside the bags. So just to summarize everything, conditioner. You need to inject hot water in your conditioner. You need to inject steam in your conditioner. That will guarantee that you're cooking your mesh before the extruder. And if your mesh is well cooked, you have less motor load. If you have less motor load, you can increase your capacity. And if you have less motor load, it also means that you're gonna have less wear at your extruder, right? What is the temperature? Minimum 90 degrees. Between 95 to 98 is optimal. More than that, it can mean that you're also measuring steam and not only the temperature of your mesh. And you need to measure the temperature of your mesh. And because of that, the temperature sensor needs to be installed in the correct place. When you go to the extruder, then you have a bunch of parameters that you can fine tune to hit the density target that you want. You can add more steam, you can add water, you can vary screw speed, you can change screw configuration, right? And last thing that we want to do is call formulation team and ask for another recipe, because by doing so, it means that we are altering the price of formula. And as we will cover in the dosing module, cost of formula represents the great majority of the cost of your product, meaning that any change in the formula also means that you're going to reduce your profit. So you don't want to do that. You want to be able to produce the product that you need with the formula that the formulation team has given to you. So you see, there's a lot of details. There's a lot of things to be covered. And if you want to learn more, what do I recommend to you? I recommend to you to click in the bottom below, access the course. Like I said, how much does it cost 1 hour? I bet this course is cheaper. I bet that your operators, yourself, is going to be better prepared to solve the problems that you face at your factory. We'll talk about it. We can communicate. You can send emails to me, and you can learn by doing, right? So this course is not just to learn in theory, but this course is about doing. This course is focused on practical information that can help you every day at your factory. Hope this information is useful to you, and see you inside the course.